Hello, I'm Dane, and this is Dane Explains. My mother passed away recently. Please pray for the repose of her soul. I'm not going to go into the personal details here, but she was a Catholic and raised my siblings and I Catholic. She had a long illness, which afforded her the opportunity to write her own eulogy, which her best friend read at her funeral. The most important line was the last one. Eternity is a long time to be wrong. She was right. Let me explain why. Many people don't believe in God because they only believe what can be scientifically tested and proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. While Christianity relies on faith, which, at first, appears to be the opposite of the scientific method. However, everyone still takes many things on faith. The vast majority of even atheists don't bother to test a scientific claim or even read the paper written by the people claiming it. That is taking something on faith. Ironically, the group of people that come closest to the idea of not relying on faith are the flat earthers, who are skeptical of anything they don't personally witness themselves. Although they often violate their own rule, so everyone needs faith at least at some level, or their life would be an unlivable, complicated mess. It just comes down to how much faith you need to believe something is true or not. Atheists and Christians both often think belief in God boils down to that one factor. However, there is more to it than that. The consequences of being wrong on something can often make up for the fact that you're almost certainly right. Here's an example. Let's say for a moment you owned a shooting range. It was the end of the day, and you were checking all the firearms to make sure they were all unloaded, which of course they're supposed to be once they've been returned. You have a couple of cases you put them in, which are lockable. Now, when you get about halfway through checking the guns, you bend over to lock the first case. Just then, you hear someone walk up. When you stand up, you can see that he has taken one of the unchecked guns and is pointing it at you. The guy, being totally ignorant on the worth of guns these days, asks for the money in your wallet, which is a bit, but not enough so you wouldn't be able to eat dinner that night or miss paying any bills. Now, you know that 9 times out of 10, the guns are unloaded properly, but some do occasionally get missed. And even though you're armed with a loaded gun that's holstered, and you know he could get a shot off long before you can get it out, I think most sane people in this circumstance wouldn't take the chance. They would give the robber the money and then call the police. So even though the range owner knew that the gun was most likely unloaded, the risk of being wrong about that wasn't worth the inconvenience of losing some money. The same can be applied to the belief in God. If I spend my whole life putting up with the inconvenience of going to church, praying, fasting, and doing other religious practices, and God doesn't exist, that's all I would have lost. As I've covered in other videos on this channel, Christian religious practices usually have a positive impact on culture and society, so any annoyance is mitigated. If God doesn't exist, atheist or Christian, in the end, we'll all be just as dead and our lives just as meaningless. If I'm correct about God's existence and I follow my religion, then I gain everything when I die. I get to live forever in heaven with God and everyone else who goes to heaven. If an atheist spends his whole life rejecting the idea of God and is correct, in the end he gains absolutely nothing over the Christian. They'll both be equally dead. At that point, no one is going to care who was correct. If an atheist spends his whole life rejecting the idea of God and he's wrong, then he has absolutely everything to lose. Almost certainly, he's going to go to the eternal hellfire. Because we're dealing with eternities here, the cost of being wrong about God's existence is infinitely worse than my shooting range example. Even if the likelihood of God existing was just 1 in all the grains of sand on earth, the magnitude of the outcome of getting it wrong easily outweighs how embarrassed you'll almost certainly not feel after we're all dead because you believed in a made-up God. In the end, we all have nothing to lose and everything to gain by believing in God. So indeed, eternity is a long time to be wrong. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon, link in the description. The more people support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.